I don't like the way he left Afghanistan. Joe Biden left Afghanistan like this. If you lucky enough to have a great granddaddy, call him up right now on the phone and ask him, is he ready to do 12 press conferences tomorrow? No, he is not. You can ask Joe anything, but he only gonna answer half. Every morning they tell Joe, Joe, today, don't say today, Joe. And that's how you can tell the vice president is a real black woman. You don't see her nowhere.
What's going on, guys? We got to continue talking about this public humiliation ritual that's been going on ever since Sleepy Joe Biden completely bombed that debate against Teflon Don. Okay, so we've had a lot of developments happening between all of these senators finally coming out and dropping Joe Biden. You also have some of these black folks who can't help but make things worse. And the funny thing is they're like desperately trying to make things better. I ain't never seen some people fight for the white man so hard in my life. Like, especially one who is not doing them any favors, okay? Because everybody knows that crooked Joe Biden is destroying the country. I can't imagine just voting for somebody to just take the hand, put it on my head, and just freaking drown me in some water. Because that's basically what's happening to America. Is Americans are drowning right now, drowning in debt, drowning under the weight of all of these prices and high interest rates and illegal immigration, okay? But I want to show y'all this clip where Joe Biden has his pastor. He goes to this church where they're calling a real black church, whatever that means, and he's getting roasted by this pastor. It sounds like he was trying to say something positive, but it really sounds like it was low-key a roast. That's just my take. Take a look.
But today, through your Holy Spirit, renew his mind, renew his spirit, renew his body. He's the man we need in these terrible times. Times of war, destruction, trouble around the world. But Father, I remember a bumper sticker on a senior citizen's car that said, I may be slow, but I'm in front of you. Use our president. Use his experience. Use his handicaps. And be glorified in his life. In Jesus' name.
Going off about his handicaps and how he's slow. And there's wars going on around the world. I wonder how that happened. Renew his mind, renew his body. Like, he's basically saying, well, hey, can you get rid of this old piece of garbage and put us a real presidential candidate? It's kind of silly that I don't know if he actually intended for this or not. Sometimes black folks, I'm telling y'all right now, sometimes black folks kind of shady and they be doing it on purpose. But I don't think that that's what this pastor intended, because this message certainly did not come across well to me. But guys, it does not end there, because you also had this radio host, okay? Joe Biden has been trying to get out there more and save his name, save his legacy, save his candidacy, save democracy, if you will, because he's been going out there and trying to talk to more people and do more interviews. Like, a lot of people have been questioning him on off teleprompter, like, hey, can we get him in a situation where he just kind of has to be like kind of sharp, like, you know, go back and forth, be witty, right? Just really active. Now, you would think that he would have learned from his debate mistakes, but unfortunately, he's done something else that was totally dumb and had interview questions pre-approved. Okay, so I'm going to show y'all a clip here from CNN, who I'm pretty sure at this point has kind of turned their backs for the most part on Joe Biden, because it seems like they just keep posting story after story after story. That just makes things worse for Sleepy Joe. Without further ado, let's take a quick look.
I'm not surprised that Joe Biden is not who he was 45 years ago. I am a little surprised that the Joe Biden of today is different from the Joe Biden of 2 years ago, of even a year ago.
How so?
Well, clearly, cognitively, anybody who hears him and knows of him and who he has been will detect that there are some differences in his speech. People attribute that constantly to the fact that he has a speech impediment. He's always had a speech impediment his entire life.
I'm gonna go ahead and question people about that. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna play some footage from Joe Biden real quick because he has not had no dang speech impediment.
We must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now.
Stop the cap. Let's keep going.
Talking about the fact that he has a speech impediment until, the last few weeks. And clearly there's something that is different about President Joe Biden.
Yeah, he says that he will not be taking or releasing a cognitive test. Andrea, let me ask you here about your interviews and something I listened to both of them.
And how come ain't nobody pressing him harder on the cognitive test issue? We just gonna let that go? Imagine the double standard here is astounding. Imagine Donald Trump was having all of these ridiculous gaffes. The Democrats would obliterate the Republicans. It would be the biggest blowout in history. This really goes to show you that Democrats are pretty tough if Joe Biden is their guy and all of this is happening and they still managing to even hang on, even if it's kicking and screaming and clawing. The fact that they're able to, you got a guy who refuses to take a cognitive test, bombed the debate, been falling over and looking sleepy and decrepit for years, crumbling economy. And these guys still managing to somewhat uplift this guy. Democrats are kind of impressive, I'm not gonna lie. Crooked as hell. But that's some damn good work. If you're gonna be corrupt, I guess you might as well be good at it.
And there's something that's similar here. You each you asked 4 questions, and maybe that's what you were allowed to ask by the campaign or the White House. But they were essentially the same questions, both interviews, about accomplishments, progress in your respective state, what's at stake in the election, what he has to say about his debate performance, and what he would say to voters who think their vote doesn't matter or might sit this election out. Were those questions given to you by the White House, or the campaign, or did you have to submit questions ahead of this interview?
The questions were sent to me for approval. I approved of them.
Okay, so the White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I got several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
Okay, and the reason I ask is not a criticism.
So this makes it even worse because she didn't determine the questions. The White House sent her the questions. And then she said, okay, out of those questions, I'll approve 4 that I'm going to ask you. But why the hell is the White House, how the hell is it an interview? Like, imagine you go to a job interview and then you tell them what questions that they could ask you. Hey, don't ask me nothing about my job history. Don't ask me nothing about like any of them traffic tickets and violations I got. Don't ask nothing about my previous employer at all. Okay, gaps in my resume. Psh, better not ask me nothing about that. Imagine this world. I'm gonna work 4 hours per day, 3 days a week, $200K, no questions.
But by their view, it's just that if the White House is trying now to prove the vim, vigor, acuity of the president, I don't know how they do that by sending questions first before the interview so that the president knows what's coming.
You don't do it. You don't do it. They're desperate. They can't put Joe Biden out there. Here's the facts, guys. He cannot do this job. He can't campaign properly. He cannot speak properly. He can hardly freaking stand up. Okay, like here's a clip of him not standing up when they're telling people to stand up.
Let us stand together. Oh, at the cross, at the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burdens of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now
I'm glad that a lot of people are waking up here and calling Joe Biden out for the loser that he is, but it is sad that there's still some people, including black folks, who are still vehemently standing behind Sleepy Joe. It is very upsetting, to be honest with you, because I'm like, what the hell? What planet do y'all live on where this is a good idea? I would never stand behind Donald Trump if he was like this. I'm not a Trump loyalist. This is not a Trump loyalist channel. This is not a Donald Trump channel. This is a common sense channel. Okay, Black Anomaly Rising might as well be labeled, if it was in a dictionary, common sense rising, because that's really all this channel is about. It is not about Republicans. It's not about Donald Trump. It's not just about bagging on liberals. It's about, if it makes sense, then I support it. If it's stupid as hell, then I denounce it and we make fun of it. We delegitimize it so that we could uplift common sense, traditionalistic type things that I believe are better for me, my family, my friends, and society, not some political party, especially not somebody that's 5.5 feet in the grave, practically a fossil, barely alive.
He doesn't know he's alive.
I feel like nothing's working out. I do believe again that Joe Biden is going to continue and he's going to just get his butt whooped. It's that simple. And I can't wait to see it. Even Teflon Don was roasting him on Truth Social recently.
But on Saturday, he broke his silence, posting a mocking message to social media, urging Joe Biden to stay in the race. On Truth Social, he wrote, quote, Joe Biden should ignore his many critics and move forward with alacrity and strength with his powerful and far-reaching campaign. He should be sharp, precise, and energetic, just like he was in the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope y'all had a great weekend. I'll leave it right there. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
She ain't at the mall.